Object Guru here, joined by...
The Gun Wrangler.
Who is hopefully going to help me kill this giant walking tank thing. Because me and my friends here are all levels 5 through 7, and you're level whatever the highest level is. So I feel like
I'm level 30.
Go. Nice. Alright, well, I'm going to hit this thing with a club. Because that's absolutely a responsible thing to do when you're dealing with a giant monster spider tank. Like out of, what's that thing? Ghost in the Shell or something.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not going well. But yes, as promised, we watched some delicious television this week.
Oh, was it ever delicious?
Yeah, that was some top-notch television. For some reason, I am running around with a giant ball in my hand.
Yes, because you picked up an arc charge, and you need to deposit it or get rid of it.
Oh, I understand. Here's where I deposit it. No, they killed me. Okay, good to know. I assume I was doing... What's the arc charge for?
Basically unlocks this rocket launcher kind of deal.
Oh, okay, to help out with fighting this thing. Gotcha.
Yep.
All right, well, I'm learning. But yes, so there was a new episode of The Expanse, and we didn't learn anything major, but it was still very thrilling.
No, you learned some major stuff.
Oh, really? Well, you know what? We're going to get there. But I'll just quickly see what happens. Everyone stopping suddenly kind of messed up all of the ships, as, you know, it would in space. And my big question of, as the episode started, they're like, yeah, everybody's going to bleed to death because there's no down in space. And I'm like, that sounds terrible. And so my response was, what is they've never heard of spinning spaceships? It's called artificial gravity, and it works great.
Yeah, but they can't do it because, remember, they're in the slow zone.
Oh, yeah. No. I understand that. But then again, none of their ships are built for artificial gravity either. Like, theoretically, you could just get a ship into a good spin and do, you know, what do you call it? Artificial gravity the hard way. But it's better to have a ship that's built for artificial gravity. As we find out the Nauvoo is. Which made me so happy. Because it was like I was watching Babylon 5 again. Getting a great big spinning section on a ship.
It's pretty satisfying, isn't it?
It's wonderful flashbacks. I mean, we all know Babylon 5 was the best show. I think that's just a well-known thing. And so anything that reminds me of Babylon 5 is going to make me exquisitely joyous. And
yes.
That one was pretty awesome, seeing the engine start up on the outside of the Nauvoo. Oh, yep. So cool. Yeah, no, that was pretty amazing. I mean, it was a great episode in every part. There's some really huge stuff going on.
You mean stuff like Peaches getting over to the Rossi and between a third and one half of everyone in the fleet dying?
Yeah, that was some bad news. Although we don't know what the final count is going to be now that they can all get medical attention in the Nauvoo. There's a chance it's not going to be.
No, that was the flat number of people who just
those are the
died.
ones who just died. Okay, so there you go. Yeah, that was bad. Well, as they said, they went to 0 speed, and now they're all getting pulled in. So all of the ships are close enough together that Peaches was able to just leap over to the other ship. Which was kind of awesome.
Yep.
Because all of the ships are now just next to each other. Which is pretty terrifying considering the scale of the ships. Holden gave us just a teensy bit of information after spending the entire episode not awake. He's like, yeah, no, I saw a sun snuffer. And I don't know exactly what that means, but I'm not psyched about it.
Yeah, he's like, well, he reveals one of the most important things about the protomolecule.
Yeah.
He basically stops and says, listen, this thing runs on biomass.
Yeah.
And whatever beings created this don't regard us any differently than when we're paving a street and there's an anthill on the way.
Yeah. It's much bigger than we are. And much more terrifying than we are. And I can't wait to find out, the mechanics of what they've built and what they're going to do about it next. But it's going to be awesome. And yeah, it is definitely going to be awesome. But that's not the dramatic heart of the episode. The dramatic heart of the episode is our captain and our David Strathairn both being crushed in the hangar. Oof.
Yep. Poor drummer. Poor Ashford.
Oh my god, that was rough. And that's the thing. I often talk about this show as being we're supposed to track down thieves and get tools back from them. Are they on the map or no?
They will not be mapped.
Oh, so we just got to go and find them and kill them. That's fine. I don't mind doing that. It's kind of amazing because I've always thought of it as the show about making, thorny moral decisions in no-win situations. And here we go, another perfect example of that.
Yep.
There's just no good way out here. And every time they tried something, it just got worse and worse. And I'm like, well, one of them's going to die. And I didn't say I was calling who was going to die, but I'm like, well, one of them is David Strathairn. So I have a sneaking suspicion he's going to be sticking around. And he was. For a little while, anyway. I don't know if his character is long for this world, but, such a good entrance. He's been so good
at the end of the episode,
far.
neither of them are, in fact, dead.
No, not dead, but she is in really bad shape. And maybe she'll be savable because they're getting the thing spinning, but I honestly don't know yet. This is the kind of show that could just kill her off. Don't tell me. Just don't say a thing.
You can just hear that inhale.
Yeah, of course I can hear the inhale.
He actually knows.
Of course you know. But anyway, David Strathairn's fantastic. I especially like his Belter accent. I think he's doing a great Belter accent. I really like how it sounds with his underlying accent. Because it's as you've noted, it's more of a pattern of speech than a particular accent from a place. It's a way you use language more than it's a way you pronounce words. Although there are many words that are specifically pronounced. Yes. But they all have this wonderful cadence that Naomi doesn't have at all. Except even... And it was kind of weird listening her doing the Belter speak in the first couple episodes in this half season.
Yeah.
Because she has obviously not been practicing it the way the other actors are.
Well, let's put it like this. Naomi's kind of a shit character anyways.
So it's not that important that she's not good at the accent. I gotcha.
I do appreciate Dominic Tipper just does fantastic work.
Yeah.
And she's pushing with the cock she got, but
bravo.
She just it's like what was his face? The kid from Game of Thrones, the blonde one, Prince Jeffrey.
Yeah.
How he's playing a person that literally everyone loathes.
I know.
Like, okay.
Oh, I know. And it's just like everybody hates you. There's no way around it. So you just got to go for it. And you got to go all the way. And you know what? He did go all the way with it. Because it's interesting from a Game of Thrones standpoint. He is in much more of the show than he is in the book. Like, there are really not that many Joffrey scenes in the
in the book?
In the books at all. Like, he's only in a few scenes because you got to remember it's all point of view chapters and not very and in the first book none of the villains or have really extensive point of view chapters, right? That's completely absent from the book. So as a result, you don't just hang out with Joffrey like you do on the TV show. Joffrey never gets a point of view chapter. By the time, his mother starts getting point of view chapters, he's dead.
Yeah, he's been dead for like 2 books at that point.
No, she gets the point of view chapters in book 4. But yeah, he's been dead for most of a book by the time she starts getting chapters. So you only ever see him in Sansa chapters and Tyrion chapters. And he's a huge scumbag in those chapters, of course. He's a complete worthless tool. Everybody hates him. But he is not a major character. Oh no!
I hate the jumping puzzles.
Like, can you not fly?
I can fly. But here's the problem: when I do
Yeah.
fly, I tend to grossly overshoot.
Oh, okay. So I should come back and revive you? You're right up here?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right. But yeah, so I'm just saying it's interesting because it's all done with point of view chapters. He's just not in the thing very much, and I guess for the show they realize the marketability of having this awful guy doing horrible things on the show all the time. Yeah, there's none of that in the books, which is interesting. It's one of the ways the books are much less intense than the TV show is, but that's for our Game of Thrones cast. That's seriously, wait, we're not doing a Game of Thrones cast, but just
We are never doing that. I can
not
be depressed
happening.
on my own. I'm super good at it. Trust me, lots of practice.
Oh, I get it. Don't worry. But yeah,
Um,
moving right along. But yes, just great drama, thrilling stuff with Peaches and God Girl, which I really loved. Oh my god. She figured it out. Too late to save her friend, obviously.
Too late to save literally anyone.
Yeah. Well, no, she saves Naomi.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. All right. Where's
Too
the
late to
cachet
save
and how do we
literally
scan it?
anyone else.
Yeah. Where is the cachet? How do we scan it? Find Sloane's. Oh, we have to find a transmat beacon. Okay, that seems doable. It sounds doable anyway.
Yep.
But yeah, it's a great scene. Her going through, watching Peaches flee out the airlock. I'm like, coming back to the ship and be like, seriously, where is everybody?
Most of them are like
And they were all
dead or
unconscious.
crippled.
Yeah, and then you've got the really frustrating situation Bobby finds herself in, where obviously Holden didn't blow up that ship.
Yeah, but he hasn't really done
Yeah, he hasn't done
literally
anything to entrust himself to that.
like a lot of people just flat out hate him because he's done a lot of just
really questionable things. And as they say, like if after going through after being the last survivor of a certain number of ships, people are going to start seeing you as the common denominator. You know?
Yes.
Maybe it's not a coincidence that everyone but you keeps getting blown up, James. Because I'm just saying, your ship, the Martian ship,
the one that you stole.
the Donager. You were the last people alive off of that. You were the last people alive off of Eros. Like, this has happened a lot to you, hasn't it?
Some people might call that a trend.
Exactly, and one that is worth being concerned about, I would say.
One that might bear some investigation.
And I also understand why Mars want their spaceship back, but because we've been with these characters the whole time, we're on their side with the Rocinante.
Well, because we saw that it wasn't actually his fault so much as...
No, it was all Jules Père Meow and their stealth ships. But he's just a very unlucky man. Or the luckiest man in the universe. One or the other, depending on how you value your life. Hey, something to scan, which I can totally do with some ability. Oh,
Science.
You already did it. Okay. Now I know that. But yeah, it's very solid. And the thing is, it's like good zero G effects this week. Like really good zero G effects this week. With all of the corpses in the hallway, that's an image that's going to stick with you for a while. Oh, all these people floating around, and the couple of people on boots who still managed to have their boots hooked up, but are also dead.
Yeah, they're just mulched.
Yeah, that was rough. But yeah, and everyone just had their organs pulverized by this thing. And like, as you say, half of the people were strapped into something, but nobody had any idea this was coming. And oof. And the worst part is, like, you totally understand why they weren't just parked in the slow zone. Because you'd naturally want to constantly put a bit of an arc around, so you orbit the nucleus rather than being pulled into it. But when they decide you're stopping, what seems like a relatively modest speed turns out to be terrifyingly fast.
Well, it's one of those things you learn in terminal ballistics.
Yeah.
The average speed and kinetic power of you of a 45 caliber bullet is you falling out of bed at 2.5 feet.
Okay.
It's just concentrated into
one tiny little fraction of a
yeah.
Something that is 0.45 of an inch across.
Yes. And that thing happens to be traveling
at the relative at a speed commensurate to bring it up to that level of force.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. And if you think about it that way, you're right. It's such a tiny amount of force, but in a little metal spike, 0.45 of an inch across, that's going to
230 grains is not much.
It's a rough one to think about.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. Like, you see the same thing in body armor injuries. Yeah. So, some cops' vest stopped around. Mm-hmm. But he dies anyways.
Because of the fractured internal organ damage?
Yes, the massive internal organ damage. Yeah. It's called the dog food effect.
That is nice to think about. Jesus. The dog food effect.
Well, because your internal organs
basically... They get mulched. Yeah, no, yeah. You've made it clear what happens. We don't need to go back there, believe you me. But yeah, that's a rough one to think about. But I mean, I understand the physics of it, but Jesus, it's a rough one to think about. So yeah. I had when we were talking about the whole first season, I kept coming back to the theme of the show is that outer space hates you.
Yes.
And I gotta say, this episode was a nice entry into that show canon.
It's a nice addendum.
Outer space hates you. Yeah.
Outer space hates you. Yeah. Addendum, and it wants you to die.
It really does. That's definitely a sub-theme. Whatever else is going on in the show, that is clearly a sub-theme. But yeah, again, we have that frustrating wait now because we've reached the point where they're amping up towards the season finale, so they're not going to give us a lot in any particular episode. They're really making us wait for this stuff, and I mean, we get a couple of good things. Everybody's back on the ship except for Bobby and Holden, but soon enough. But everybody else is back on the Roci, including our two new characters, and I can't wait for these sparks to start flying next week. It's going to be solid. I have no idea where we're going. I guess we're supposed to go back to
hit the map and go try and find the. Try and find.
Oh, there's another adventure, and then there's a campaign mission. All right, so now I've put them on the map. It'll guide us back, right? Now that I've set a.
I'll have to follow you though.
No, that's fine. I'm sure I'll be a clear person that tells you how to get places. Oh, so it doesn't appear on your map?
Not at all.
Oh, that's weird.
Though, we only have 2 episodes left.
I know. It's very frustrating. And, I mean, are they going to do the thing they've done in previous seasons where the last 2 episodes feel like a movie? And it's like where they do the first half and the second half? Because that's what we've been getting in the half-year endings and a lot of the season enders, too.
Yeah.
Well, no, one of the season enders. The other ones didn't really do that. The first season ender didn't have that. It's really, you're just watching a movie. Yet season 2, we got 2 movie-feeling things in season 2. With the Eros adventure and then, well, we all remember the big finale. Oh,
yep.
God. Such a good show. But yeah, so only 2 more episodes, and now you have reached a point where you're not going to do it, but you know exactly how they're going to wrap it up based on where the book went in this next bit, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. You've looked at the book and you've said, this is obviously the logical stopping point.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Whoops.
Good. Oh, I'm so excited to find out what it is. And I only have 2 weeks to wait, so yay. Oh, it's going to be good. It's going to be so good. Ooh, scavenged components. I like to hear about that. But yeah, so it's been fantastic. I can't wait for this season to wrap up. It's going to be painful waiting for the next season because we don't know what Amazon's timeline is. I assume they're not tearing down the sets or anything because they got it renewed so quickly. So they don't have to do any rebuilding or anything like that, which is nice.
The good news is also that they have whatchamacallit. The show is run out of a specific studio and not, and that studio didn't happen to be Sci-Fi. It was actually owned by another one.
Exactly.
Sci-Fi only had broadcast rights, essentially.
And so they have their own studio. They have their own studio space. So they have all of the props, everything there, ready to go. And then they can just start it up. They can just start rolling cameras again the minute they're ready to start, because all of the stuff is still there. The actors all have their contracts. The writers are all still there. So everybody's good to go. Okay, see, that's what I like to hear. All right, so I think we just got to go up here, and we'll get to our next mission. Just got to kill some of these. I'm going to say insect men? It's hard to tell what they're trying to go.
The lore is really unclear in this game.
On whether they're insect men or not. Gotcha. You see why I would say insect men, right?
Yes, they
have. They got that hunched over thing. They got
extra limbs.
Yeah, it's just very Insect Man kind of look. All right, so, as I was saying, we also watched something else this week, something I would say, if not equally spectacular, pretty amazing. Pretty shockingly amazing. It was the 3 episodes of Travelers Season 2, 204 to 206, leading up to the half-season ending point.
Yes, well, in theory, but unfortunately, as for some reason Netflix owns the show and refuses to put it on Netflix Canada, where it's made.
Yeah.
I've had to try and find other means to watch it, which have been inconsistent.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. Hopefully they remedy this soon, but they're not going to remedy it before we finish the season, unfortunately. Yeah. But yeah, it is a pretty great 3 episodes, and we're gonna get through episode 4 and 5, and then I'll just tell you how episode 6 ends, so you can appreciate.
I watched the first half of it in 10-second intervals before I just got so frustrated I gave up.
I can't stop. Yeah. So yeah, we started off with episode 4, which is another really interesting episode because you've got this big dilemma over how seriously they're supposed to take their job, and what I really loved about it. We had a suicide bombing, which then wasn't. We had a political assassination, but we also had 2 of them conspiring to break one of the cardinal rules. Is it Rule 3 or Rule 4 that says don't reproduce under any circumstances?
Yes.
Because we can't risk screwing the timeline. And we already knew Eric McCormick is fine with that. And
he's a big goody-goody. And
he is. Well, I mean, not only is he a big goody-goody, I think it's safe to say that there are clearly, he had those memories. Yeah. There are pieces of his host left in him. And whether or not, because they specifically said that's the last bits of your host that were left. And I'm like, well, yeah, but he still remembers them. That's the thing. He has memories that are pivotal events in that guy's life. And that's what turns you into the kind of person you are. So he can't just, what do you call it? He can't put those away, which is why, he saved his wife on the plane.
Yeah. So...
Yeah, so that's what they spend the episode doing, conspiring to break that. And she, is not finding trying to live a normal life in the past very good. It's not going well for her.
And it gets better from there.
It does get better from there.
The sickness. She is down with the sickness.
Oh my god. Oof. So yeah, it's a really good episode. The political assassination stuff is good. The bombing stuff is good, although, oh man, will the fact that they didn't blow that up end up being a good thing? Because here's the real question, and so let's get right into spoiler section, beginning in episode 5. So obviously something was really. Oh my god, how am I blanking on long hair guy's name? Their archivist, their historian. Yep. I'm blanking on his name, but you obviously know who I'm talking about.
Yep.
All right, so, we have to go and get these items. Secure a Golden Age CPU to decrypt Red Legion intel. Oh, it's over here, okay. There's just also an event starting up. That's why I got confused about the indicators. Anyway, so yeah, we knew something was really shady was going on with the historian's girlfriend. Because she has hooked him on drugs. And while those drugs are obviously better than heroin, they extensively covered in the first 3 episodes that he's now hooked on them instead.
Mm-hmm.
So we knew something was going on with her. And then we get we get an amazing scene.
Between him and the historian?
Yes.
Yes. And... Oof. You know, you kind of get the impression that the historian's been down that road once or twice before, and he's like, know where you've been.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah, our engineer and her historian don't have a lot of scenes together, but they're good together. And I'm interested to see more from the two of them, because, oof. Especially when we get our big reveal in the next episode that there's a disease going around.
Yeah. And disease. He accidentally brought it back.
Yep. Ooh. Yeah, and it's like, you know something sinister is happening when she knocks him out so he won't remember digging up
writing
this information.
Something down. Yeah.
And that's pretty chilling. And then we get the huge reveal, which is, none of the communiques they've gotten
for some time now.
For 3 months. For over 3 months have been from... Oh my God. None of them have been from the director. Whew. And all of those people who were having their bodies stolen... Yeah, that was all just faction people moving into the past en masse. What a reveal. Oh my God. And the thing is, I was talking last week about how strange it was that his partner seemed to have gotten no training for being in the 21st century.
Then you figure out they're actually members of the faction.
Yeah, and then we find out they're members, then we see what the girlfriend's doing. I'm like, oh, Jesus, of course he didn't have any training. They're all faction people. And how the hell many of them are out there is the problem. So things escalate quickly as we go from the beginning of an episode to the end of the episode. We now have an apocalyptic virus going around.
We basically transition into the movie Contagion.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And they talk about them. They talk about that movie in there, don't they?
Yes, they actually do give it a head nod.
About how, because he talks about how realistic it was.
Yeah.
And of all the people to be naturally immune, way to go, David.
Something's finally coming up Millhouse.
I know, right? Dude can't catch a break, but naturally immune to the super plague. Way to go. Just, you're free to go and work with people. Of course, we do find out that it is only supposed to kill, 70% of people are naturally immune to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only supposed to kill off 30% of the population. But it really raises the question, so it was the faction telling Enrico Colantoni and them not to fight each other? Not the director.
Yeah, you have to ask...
I guess, but why?
How many of their orders came from who?
That's the thing. We don't know. We're not sure whether the director was able to send anybody because they're getting orders from the faction. We know for a fact that they've gotten orders, perhaps even jobs.
Yeah.
Right? We've been getting them from the faction. So was it the faction who wanted to blow up that biotech place? And if so, why? Or was that a legit order? I really need the answer to that question.
I'm inclined to say faction because it seems like the sort of place that would be capable of synthesizing a cure or mass producing a vaccine. Because
if their one job is to make sure the plague goes out, they would want to destroy any local place that could stop that. That makes perfect sense.
Oh, well, it's going to wipe out all the wheat. I'm like, that's pretty unlikely.
Seems like a bit of a stretch, actually. It turns out this was just a place that could have developed a cure. And they end up saving it, so there you go.
Yep.
Oh, so maybe they ended up saving the day with their failed mission. Which, I gotta say, it was a pretty amazing, and you even get a good reason for why they needed to keep them alive. Well, why didn't the faction just kill his team? Since they obviously had his sympathies, and they could have gotten in and done it without any trouble at all, because they needed to find out where the fuel rods were. They didn't know where the fuel rods were.
Yes, I got up to roughly that point in episode 6.
Okay.
And it's like, the fuel rods are here, and then the Asian chick basically snitches them out. Is that the gist of it?
No, she doesn't.
Oh, okay.
No, the problem is, they're talking about where the fuel rods are, and it, for some reason, doesn't occur to them that, is her name Laura? Can project information. Whether or not she's able to talk or touch her neck. So they've got a spy in there doing tests. They're doing tests on a woman who also acts as a spy for the faction.
Okay, then what was up with the Asian chick and her
sneaking off and doing stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
what she was doing was she thought she was smart enough to be able to reprogram the nanobots, right?
Yeah.
In order to cure the virus. And because first off, just wants to save herself. She's like, I'll save myself, and then I'll save the rest of the team, and then we worry about the rest of the world. So she thinks she's smart enough to reprogram the nanobots, and that's why she sneaks off and starts doing that. And, of course, because she sneaked off and started doing that, you're led to wonder, did she rat them out for the cure? And the answer is no. She was actually just she thought she was smarter than the faction. Of course, her plan with the nanobots doesn't work. She has to shut down the nanobots. It's just a wasted effort. But they realize how they were being spied on, so they talk about their next plan in front of her to ensure that their next plan gets spied on, and they're able to mislead the faction pretty effectively.
Okay.
Which is sweet. So yeah. Basically what happens is they go to home base, which we find out is in the Rocky Mountains in Canada, obviously. Because this is shot using the... No! Oh, they got me.
Those trickers are mean.
Because the whole show is, of course, shot in the... using the production facilities that made Stargate. So, of course, their base is inside a mountain in British Columbia. Because, where else would it be? But yeah, that's where the domes get built. Turns out, yes, all of the travelers are Canadian. That's the nice reveal in this episode.
Oh, so we have a robotic dictator who's also a communist? Oh, yeah, it does make a lot of sense.
Worked out perfectly, doesn't it?
Yep.
But yeah, and so they were able to get the, the fuel, a teensy bit of fuel rods into place. Right? So that there is a backup source for the director in the future. Right? And and this is kind of wonderful, actually. It's a backup fuel source for the director in the future, so the director is able to turn it on. And as they establish, literally all they needed was 3 seconds of power for the director, for the director to be able to win the war in the future, retake over the its own power source, so it doesn't need any more, come up with a cure for the plague, and then send that message back to them. That's pretty good. You understand, honestly, that little statement about what he did in 3 seconds really does give you a sense of why they treat the director with such godlike reverence. Because he really can get the job done quickly. Yeah. Like, so much faster than you would imagine. So I really like that. Oh, and his partner. His partner, they copy him over with a new traveler. So they can keep that actor on the show.
Nice.
Yeah, they do copy him over with a new traveler. But they talk about something interesting, which is because the director's been offline for 3 months, they're like, that means that he hasn't sent anybody back for 3 months, which means couldn't he just send someone back before this plague started and undo this? And then we find out another rule of the world is that no, the sending back messengers creates the exact same kind of temporal flux that sending back consciousness does. Mm-hmm. So even though you're just sending back a message, it still has the same practical effect of closing off that part of the timeline to doing it again. So yeah, that was a nice reveal. Okay, that was silly. I really thought I could jump down there. I could not.
Yeah, you have to sort of float.
Okay. And then jump
land
at the
on
bottom.
that.
Oh, that was a nasty landing. I survived this time though, so yay.
Yep, I know, and I easily just float down. I love.
Well, yeah, you've got hover.
Yes,
You're
the
a magician.
warlock float.
It is a nice power to have. So yeah, it's really satisfying, and they don't really get into it's. I'm not saying it's a cheat, because it's not a cheat, but they do not get into exactly how the cure is going to be distributed.
Mm-hmm.
And manufactured that fast. Like, they're able to do a couple of their own for their own people relatively quickly. But the one thing they set up, which was nice, which I really liked, was that they specifically say that the way... Sorry, where are we supposed to be going?
Oh, you just have to shoot out these vent dealies. Yeah, I was a little confused
I
too.
didn't know you could shoot them out. Okay, my bad. Because I thought I tried the knife and it didn't do anything. All right. So they established that the interesting thing about the virus is it was genetically engineered for maximum infection rates, meaning that you don't show any bad symptoms for 10 full days after getting it. So you'll have more time walking around infecting people, which is nice. But as they say, the one good part about that is it makes it easier to track people and draw the thing backwards, and not a lot of people are going to die because they're going to mass produce these cures and get them all out very quickly. So there is that. It's not going to be a complete nightmare plague, although a lot of people are going to die. It's not going to be 2 billion people. It's not going to be the show turning into Counterpart.
Well, there's something to be said about that.
Well, I'm not saying Counterpart's bad. Everyone could do it with a little more Counterpart. But no, they're not going... It's not becoming a plague world they're living in. But the point is, they stopped the faction, and more importantly, and this is where it's going to get interesting with them as villains, the faction can no longer get information from the future. Huh. See, they won the Civil War in the future, so the faction is now cut off from its source of information. And that's going to be interesting. Because there's hundreds of guys in there. And it turns out that instead of destroying the backup, what they had done was they had reassembled it because thousands of faction people had all of their consciousness dropped into the array. And that's where they'd been calling on... that's where they'd been spotting and calling in people to replace people from. They've been dragging people... Exactly. So yeah, that's how they were able to do it, even though everything was shut down in the future. They were just pulling people out of the giant array that they had built to contain the director in a worst-case scenario. So it was all very tight. Like, it was put together in a very exceptionally tight fashion. Like, it all tracks logically when you get to the end.
All right.
Yeah, so...
Well, that's good.
Hopefully you don't have any other questions, because that's as much as I remember.
Well, why hasn't Netflix brought back Marco Polo?
That's not really related, though. I'm not going to try to
know.
weigh in on that one. So just, keep that one to yourself, man. No, but it's, once again, it's interesting that they did the exact same structure as they did the first year, which is amp us up for a episode 6 giant showdown half season, feels like a season ender. Because it really does.
Yeah.
It really does feel like a season ender, where there's a giant threat, a big climax, and it's weird because from the days of, your Buffys and whatnot, you're used to the episode 13 or 24 half season ender, where it's this big kick to, make you relax and keep you super hooked for the 5-week hiatus before new episodes start in February or early March, right?
Yeah.
I understand that's TV structure. But this show, as far as I can tell, doesn't take a break. Like, they don't do 6 episodes of Travelers and then take 3 months off and then air 6 more episodes of Travelers. But they're structuring the seasons as if they are.
I know, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's not dramatically satisfying. It's obviously dramatically satisfying. But it feels weird compared to other shows, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and as always, they still have time to do a lot of stuff just with the characters.
Yeah, I think that's the root of it.
Yeah, it just feels good. Like, there's so much stuff happening with these characters, you know? With Marcy trying to figure out why none of this stuff feels right still.
Yeah.
Yeah, and finding out that she was rebooted against her will. Oof. That's a rough one. But we knew that was coming, but that's not going to be fun for her. But yeah, tries to start a regular life the way most of the rest of them are leaving, and just not happy doing it. I was going to say, I do wonder how she got a nurse certification within 3 months.
I have to say, that doesn't seem super possible.
Oh, yeah, it seems like a stretch, right?
A little bit.
Okay, see, that's what I thought. Oh, no! They can cave up suns.
Yep.
Well, that's not good.
For some reason, because they're like, whether we win or lose.
Wow, these guys are kind of dicks.
Yeah, I'm like, I mean, whether you win or lose, you blow up the place. Like, how do you mine resources to continue going?
Yeah, like, do you just like, well, what we do is we mine exactly enough resources to get us to the next star, then we do it all over again. And I'm like, why though? Is there a reason for that? Like, all you want is to get the Traveler. Why are you blowing up star systems along the way? You're not afraid of the people left in that star system you subjugated, so are you blowing it up just to be a dick? And
that's what it kind of sounds like.
Yes. Well, let's just say these guys are not... Bungie has never been good at developing villains with really stellar motivation. Like, in Halo, the villain's motivation originally was, we don't understand how technology works, so let's just blow up everything with these rings. Okay, well, that's not compelling motivation, per se. And then in the new Halo games, I guess there's an evil god who's made of light who lives at the core of a giant array thing. And he's kind of a jerk, and you've got to deal with that. Like, I honestly have no memory of what Halo 4's story was about.
Yeah, I stopped at 3.
That was probably the best choice.
Yep.
Or 2.5, as you more accurately say it. But, yeah.
It was ODST.
Oh, ODST's so good. Love that game so much. But yeah, it's... Travelers, once again, really blew me away in that it had this... Oh my god. Such a right-down, nail-biter to the last moments kind of cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And it's like, the part 5... Everybody in the world is dying of the super flu. We're basically at the beginning of The Stand, right? And then they got 40 minutes to wrap that up, and damned if they didn't do it.
I know.
Like I said, they glide over some of the how are we going to get the cure out, but that's all they glide over. Oh, so well done. Yeah, I was extremely happy with it. But yeah, I'm sad you weren't able to see that one. I hope you're able to see episodes 7 through 9 a little more easily next week.
I'm hoping.
Yeah, it's another good week for Eric McCormack. I'm really interested to see what happens when lots of people find out about his kid, because now Marcy is the only member of the team who knows.
Yes, but it's going to be kind of hard
to keep the secret because. Yep. Especially because there's another Traveler who is not necessarily in on Eric McCormack's secret keeping, now in the body of his partner.
Yeah.
So, that's a person. Whoops. I thought I saw one of those. I saw a flash of light and some hovering nonsense, and I thought it was one of those invisibility dudes.
Yep.
But no, it was just another guy. All right, let's go kill some random things as we wrap up. But yeah, because Eric McCormick's partner, his new partner, his third partner in the same body, is now. I know, right? Poor guy. Is
you
now
gotta figure it's gonna
yeah.
be wearing down on
that guy's brain. I would hope so. Like,
yeah.
when the new, and they set that up right away, because the second the new guy comes, boom, nosebleed. You can only rewrite so many times, you know?
Yeah, it's like a floppy disk where you're just like, oh, I don't know if I'm doing this a damage.
Yep. You know, you're ending up putting there's a lot of leftover information every time. So we're going to see how that plays out. But they want the audience to be thinking about that, because when he gets taken over, boom, immediate nosebleed. So they know that we know, and they want us to be keeping our eye on him and what that means. So that should be pretty thrilling, especially because, again, and I can't stress this enough, like, he's got, like, there's no way he can't find out about her being pregnant. He's the partner, and the partner knows the wife pretty well.
Yeah.
So, like, the wife is fine with, like, calling up the partner and filling him in on things. All right, so it's going to be good is the point. Oh, nice move, club guy. Yeah, so that's some drama coming. We got to catch back up with Enrico Colantoni at some point.
Yeah, because, I mean, I'm pretty sure he's been sitting this one out, but...
Oh, yeah, but now... I mean, I'm not saying this is definitely going to happen, but, like, the faction... Maybe he won't team up with them, but they seem to need someone on their side now. And he would be the logical choice. Like, he's got super resources, you know, and these are guys who no longer have a mission. You know, their mission was foiled, and they don't have any way to get a new mission from the future, and the rest of their compatriots are either killed or locked away in a big machine that they can't get them out of, because they have zero access to it from now on. Pointedly, pretty much all of the guys who were in the FBI get killed at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
So just for simplicity's sake, he is not going to have to be going to work with a ton of guys who are evil. And I don't know how they explain... No, that's a big question. Oh yeah, 20 FBI agents. They all got blown up in a mine in Canada.
Yeah, how are you going to explain that?
How are you going to explain that one to your supervisors? Now,
and
that
their
being
families.
Said, yeah, that's the real issue, because, I mean, they were supervisors, so they set up that mission to go north of the border, right, without telling anybody. Mm-hmm. So it's not like there's records of where they went, but people are going to notice they're missing. And that one is not super explained. And it's possible that off camera, they didn't all... Like, we see a lot of them get killed, but it's possible that somewhere off camera, like, maybe eight of the 25 FBI agents got overwritten by people. But we see a lot of them get shot and blown up, so I don't know how many possibly survived.
I just sort of point this out, like, way back at the office, you know, are all the milk cartons in the company fridge going to say, "Have you seen my supervisor?"
Jesus. That's terrible, but you are right. Like, it really is an issue of... And I mean, it strains credulity slightly, but it's not. It's honestly not a big problem.
Yeah.
I mean, the show has done so well that we're willing to give them a few cheats here and there.
Yes, they've earned a few cheats.
They really have. It's just a good show. And good performances, good writing, excellent season structure. I don't know when we're going to see Enrico again, probably building up towards the season finale, but I don't know if he'll be in a bunch of it before then or not. I'm hoping he will, because, you know, I love the actor and such a great premise for a character. Oh, God. Found like an empty suit of armor here.
Well, that's one of those things I'm surprised we didn't see more of, just general defectors.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because, we've only had two, and now the faction. We've only had two guys who just ran. And I got to assume it's happening more often, right? You know, like, it just makes sense that it's got to be happening more often, because we know there's been thousands of people sent back, and the future is hell, and stuff goes wrong in the present all the time. Justin Lewis and his gang were ready to murder other travelers and take over all of their resources. So, I'm sure
what about the fact that the two guys who got sent to federal fuck me in the ass prison were like, oh shit, this is going to be a vacation.
Well, compared to, as you said at the time, compared to that dome, it is a vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows if they'll crack at some point. It is really interesting, like the big openings they have for drama out of that, because we know people hate being in the future. We know people love being in the past. I guess we should have been suspicious that the guy in his faction partner was super down with eating, meat and other things. Yeah, that should have been the real tip-off. That he didn't, he was like, that he was enjoying the past too much.
Yeah.
Like, he was not treating being in the past with the gravity that it so obviously deserves.
Well, it's just that they treat it with, like, so much gravity. And like, I just love that moment where the historian's like, oh, holy shit, what is this? And everyone's like, dude, that's corn.
I know.
It's like, this is amazing.
It's so good. Yeah. People are going to only eat algae, right?
Yep.
Yeah. No, it's great world building. It's a great story. And I'm hoping the cliffhanger is good this year, too. The season-ending cliffhanger. Be. But especially now that we know they're getting a season 3. You only want to be too excited about a cliffhanger before finding out they get a season 3. Now that we know about a season 3, cliffhanger away, guys.
Well, here's the thing, though. Do you want a season that ends with, like, a medium resolution because it thinks it's getting renewed and then gets canceled?
Oh, yeah, or do you want a big, big ending, right?
A big, big ending and then followed by another season where they're like...
Another season where they're like, okay, here's how we do the next season. Yeah.
How are we going to raise the stakes on this one? How are we going to match the stakes on this one? How about that?
That's a good question. Well, you know what? I mean, I think that's what I want. I want them to challenge themselves. I want them to go whole hog with the end of the season and then just figure it out later. Yeah, and maybe that's not for the best. Maybe that's not going to be the best, but I trust these guys. They're doing a good job.
They have a general knowledge of what they're doing, yes.
Oh yeah, so far, like, I've been very impressed, and hopefully I'll just keep loving it, season to season to season, and I just hope there's lots more seasons, because it's not like it's one of those things where they buy the show and they're like, yeah, we're bringing it back for a final season or something.
Yeah,
like, they're just bringing it back, right?
Oh, as compared, what really gets my goat?
Go.
Sense 8. They gave that a series finale,
yeah.
And they abandoned Marco Polo.
Yeah, well, I mean, we don't know that they've abandoned Marco Polo.
It's been 3 years.
It has been 3 years. You're right. Nobody's coming back for a finale movie for Marco Polo. You are correct. I was trying to be positive, but this is not a place where positivity is helpful. You're absolutely right.
No,
it's
but
sad because Marco Polo's fun.
Yeah, I know. It's just enough things to keep it interesting.
Yeah.
It started out being historical and then became like this weird martial arts epic.
Yeah, no, it's a giant fantasy martial arts epic, which, is not the story of Marco Polo, but it is a lot of fun. And I mean, it is based on real historical characters. There was just less naked kung fu in real life.
Yeah, but as compared to, for example, Sense8, which is basically softcore porn.
No, it is, yeah.
Because
that's what the Chauchi's brothers, siblings now, and sisters now, wanted to do. Like, they wanted to do this sensorium of a superhero experience. It's like...
No, it's just...
because it's all about... It's an entire series about... about human connection. About how people connect with each other, and they just really wanted to embrace that all of these various characters boning is integral to their connection with one another. because that's a central way that humans connect with other humans, which
I'm
they're
just
not
going to
wrong.
point something out real quick.
Yeah.
I've known you for a number of years, and we have not boned. There's, it has not been central, in
but
fact.
no, there are plenty of human involvements that do not involve boning. But what was that? Just because the show decided to focus on that doesn't mean that it's not. Just because the way the show went is super softcore porny doesn't mean that it's not a valid thing to explore, especially when you get a bunch of characters who all share each other's minds anyway. So yeah, I mean, you are right that that Sense8 is more exploitative than even Marco Polo was, but I don't think it's necessarily an invalid way for that show to go, given their take on superheroism and shared consciousness.
My issue with the series is the genuinely poor writing.
Yeah.
That seems to be propped up, for lack of a better word, by the porniness.
Okay. So you're saying, in the same way that, well, it's not as bad as, say, Spartacus, which was literally just nonsense and then, a bunch of nudity everywhere.
Have you seen the second season of Sense8?
I have not seen the second season. I stopped.
No, it becomes nonsense and porn.
Oh, okay. So it's
the Christmas
Spartacus
special,
level.
Straight porn.
Okay. So it does become Spartacus, basically.
Yes,
all right,
but it becomes Spartacus with a whiny social justice sort of.
Yeah. That's its main message,
fine.
porn. Sub message, social justice. Okay. Like I said, I never watched the second season, so I can't say. But I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised by anything you're telling me. Oh, neat! Giant waves are pushing around huge tankers. That's cool.
Ever look down?
Neat background. No, it's the first time I looked down. Wow, this whole planet looks great.
Everything about this game looks great.
Yeah, they make great looking games. All right, so let's wrap it up with: do you have a quiz?
All right. Do we want a traveler's?
If you can come up with a traveler's, let's do a traveler's quiz. If not, I know you've always got an Expanse one ready to go.
Yes. For travelers, name 3 food items they have been amazed by, and then 3 that they've been disgusted by.
Oh, that's good. That's really good. Oh yeah, that's not hard to do either.
Yeah, it's a gimme.
Yeah, it's a fun one too.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, if you do that, be the first commenter below the video to answer that trivia question, or in this case, make a fun list, and boom, you will win a prize. So join us back here for that.
Win games, come on! It's currently the summer Steam sale.
Yeah, we might actually buy you
good.
Who knows? Yeah. All right. So I guess that's that. Do you have anything you want to remind people to watch or play or whatevs?
I would like to remind people to not watch Sense8. And as far as games go, I've been getting back into RimWorld because they released the unstable beta, which will be 1.0. And
wow.
They've introduced logs as to what your characters talk about. And
it's amazing.
There's no words. It's
consistently inventive and hilarious.
Yes.
Okay.
For instance, I had a man who whispered hidden secrets to an alpaca trying to tame it. And then told him a story about murdering grasshoppers.
Jesus. It's a pretty awesome game. Everything I've seen have said to me, yeah, that's just an awesome experience. For me, as always, I'm going to remind people to check out Vampire. Really did love it. And it's a very solid game, especially if you like Soulsborne-y type combat. Beyond that, I would very much encourage you to watch the show Toast of London. I recently rewatched all of it, and it is fantastic.
Oh, no, I do have a suggestion of things to watch if you enjoy food.
And
going back to the topic of weird food. There's a show that was on the BBC called Supersizers Eat.
Okay.
And it's amazing and hilarious because for 1 week they eat period food and dress like period people.
Oh, weird.
Yes. And there's like Regency, Edwardian,
okay.
medieval. It's really bizarre. The one thing I've learned and internalized is that you start the day with beer and every other meal comes with claret. It's worked for society for so long.
Yeah, how do you think the past was bearable? You know,
Yep.
They were all kind of drunk all the time.
Yep.
Life sucked, so they were all a little drunk constantly. And you know what? That's how they dealt with disease back then.
Yep.
They were all a little drunk all the time. To quote Archer, is it safe to drink alcohol before surgery? What? You mean the stuff they clean hospitals with?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think I'm fine. Oh, Archer. Speaking of Archer, Danger Island was fantastic. Can't wait, and it ends with a teaser for Archer, except they're all on the ship from Alien, so that should be pretty good too. So yeah, next season's Archer is Archer in Space, which you thought Danger Island was a departure. This is going to be a true new chapter for Archer. It's going to be good. Also, I should have said departure. No? Okay.
Yeah.
Should have really hit the Archer in departure. But anyway.
Yeah.
No, maybe I shouldn't have.
Departure.
Departure. Yeah, no, it doesn't really work. All right. So everybody, I want to thank you for joining us here for the show. Obviously, we appreciate it. And if you want to join us next week, the homework is we're going to be watching episodes 207 to 209 in Travelers, technology willing, and we're going to be watching episode 311 of The Expanse. So join us back here next week for that. But until then, I've been the Hidden Object Guru.
I've been the Gun Wrangler.
Thanks for coming on this journey with us. We'll see you back here for the next thing, but until then, au revoir.